Jesus Christ. I'm building my stock Corvette Z06 into a Porsche GT3 killer, and so far this project is off to a rough start. But today a friend of mine offered to let me drive his fully built C6 Z06, and I'm hoping that's gonna get my fire lit. All right, we're here at Ryan's house. Ryan and I met at Atlanta Motorsports Park because he had an NB Miata. I had an NB Miata, and as we talked, we realized that we had owned a lot of the same cars. Mazda RX-8, Honda S2000, 997 generation Porsche 911 Turbo, and now we have literally owned the same car because I sold Ryan my Ariel Atom. What's up, dude? How are you?
What's up, Josh?
What are we doing here today?
Well, I'm hoping to do a little height check, maybe also do some corner balancing, see exactly how bad it is.
Ryan noticed a couple of videos ago that I used a set of Longacre scales that I bought. So he's like, hey, maybe I could borrow those. And then I remembered he's got a built C6 Z06. It's a stage 4 Vengeance racing setup. And since Goldie is experiencing so many issues, I feel like driving a nicely built Z06 will hopefully kind of get my enthusiasm back for the build.
For sure.
So ride height on the Atom has been set to the factory recommended specs, which is what, 120 millimeters in the front, 115 in the rear. I went around saying that the car weighs 1350.
1350?
Oh, we're doing this without the front wing. What does the front wing weigh?
No, more like 2.2. Yeah, I'd say 2.2.
I'm gonna guess that it's actually a bit heavier than we're expecting. So I'm gonna guess it's gonna come out to half a tank of fuel, 1,400 pounds. All right, we're about to look at the scales and see what she weighs.
Okay, so I said total 1575.
And I think it's a little heavier. I said 1625.
Okay.
With 200 pounds of ballast and
8 gallons of
fuel. 8 gallons of fuel. 1653.
Ooh, wow. So
we were lied to.
She's even heavier. Cross weight is no bueno. 44.8.
How do we then transfer the weight from the left front to the right front?
Trial and error.
Okay. Yeah.
They want the left front to equal the right front.
Within 20 pounds.
Yeah, within 20 pounds of the right.
All right, that took, I would say, a little longer than we expected. And now we've got it cross-balanced pretty well.
Yeah, cross balance looks great.
50.1% cross balance. Next up, we're gonna take Code Blue out for a test drive. This is Ryan's 2007 C6 Z06, which you have owned twice now, is that right?
That's right. So the first time was in 2008, and I had it for about 5 years. And then I sold it to one of my best friends in South Florida. So he had it for 9 years, and then I bought it back from him. When I had it the first 5 years, I did suspension work to it, coilovers and sway bars by Pfadt Racing, and I did the front and rear Pfadt Racing engine mount and the transmission mount, just stiffened it up a little bit, made it feel a little bit more alive and more reactive. ZR1 replica front spoiler and side skirts.
So you took it to Vengeance Racing, which is local here?
Yeah, so this is it's a stage 4 build. It's everything on the top end of the motor, so cylinder heads. You got a Haltech intake, a larger throttle body, MSD intake manifold. I got the chaotic camshaft that they offer. It's supposed to be well known for having good power and still being very streetable and having a great chopping sound, which we'll hear soon. The headers were done. Those are Cook's headers, high flow cats. It also has a B&B Fusion exhaust, which actually I forgot to mention. I did that years ago when I first got the car.
Okay.
So right now it's putting down 565 wheel horsepower. Actually not as bad as I thought it was going to be in terms of drivability. It's really very drivable on the street. Feel comfortable. It's obviously louder. It gets a lot of attention on the streets, especially when I'm at a stoplight, because I'd say everyone within a 50-foot radius of the stoplight feels the vibration.
That sounds good. Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Takes a ton of the bass out of it.
It does, big time.
Now, is that the mild to wild or is that something else?
It's like the mild to wild, but instead of being on a remote, it's on a switch in the middle.
Got it. Cool. Can we drive it?
Let's do it.
All right. Right off the bat, throttle response feels different. Suspension feels different.
Yeah, so you'll notice, and that's the cam. You gotta you gotta give it a little more gas than you're used to.
The suspension makes it feel like a completely different car. This is a 2007, same mileage,
51 and some change.
and yet not the same car at all. It's back-to-back stock versus modified, and you realize modifications can transform the character of the car and not ruin it. But this is way more of an experience than driving mine, and I think that's super cool. And so it's interesting that you own a modified C6 Z06 and a GT3 RS. What do you think is like most obvious in terms of the differences between them? Like, what stands out?
I would say for sure the GT3 RS is like a scalpel. Now, mind you, this car is, 12 years, older than that one is. Now, for what you're trying to attain, I have no doubt once you fine-tune the potential weak points of the Z06 and, make the suspension better, make the brakes better, and plus with your driving skill, I have no doubt you'll catch up to the level of a GT3 RS quick, and then I do think you'll surpass it, especially in the GT3 RS stock form.
Sadly, we chose rush hour to start our test
I know.
drive.
Tell me about it. If I were you, the first thing I would do, just remembering, because I did sway bars first, and then I did coilovers like maybe 6 months later, way back in the day, and I remember the sway bars made the most drastic change.
Interesting.
Yeah. Does it feel different, like if you were in third gear?
Yeah, it's more immediate from down low, especially, it feels like.
Yeah. The torque, if I recall, don't quote me on it, but I think it's around 500, starting at like 2,500 RPMs.
Sounds
so
about
and it's
right.
flat.
Yeah.
Like all the way to almost close to 7,000. I think at like 6,500 starts to drop off a little bit.
You can't even rev it out. It's like you catch somebody right away.
You do.
Oh my God. Jesus Christ. I got a ride in a 69 Firebird recently. Raw as it gets, right?
Like, oh yeah, I remember that video.
And that car made really good power. You weren't sitting there saying, "Oh, I wish we could take the Firebird out on track. That'd be fun," right? It's just like that's not what that car's for. This has the same kind of muscle car vibe, and yet it's like you could take me out on track for a couple of laps if you wanted to. You know?
For sure. But I think if this thing had some better brakes, it would hang for sure.
Tracking a car basically constitutes abuse by almost any standard. Yeah. And so to get a car to the point where it can handle going to the track without stuff breaking requires more than people realize. And like getting up to 100 miles an hour, slowing back down, doing that over and over again is murder on components that weren't specifically built for it.
Exactly. Right? No traction.
Zero. All the neighbors will think it's you.
Thanks.
I love it, man. Thank you for sharing it with me.
Man.
I really appreciate it.
I'm happy you enjoyed it.
Let me play you the song of my people. Man, Code Blue, Ryan's car, is super freaking cool. Okay, thank you. That's enough. What I think really stood out to me was the suspension. I just couldn't believe how different it felt. It just made me want to take it out on track and see what it was like. So, Goldie's got her issues. She's got a long way to go, but it was definitely cool to try out somebody else's build and see what it was like. And it's amazing to me how just by the mods you choose, you can end up with a car that looks different, sounds different, and feels completely different to drive. So I am excited about the journey I'm on with this car. I just need to make some progress. So thank you guys for coming along for the ride. Thanks to Ryan for letting me drive Code Blue. We'll see you next time.